What's up YouTube? It's Donovan the Smartphone Guy here to do a full review of the LeEco Le Pro 3. And this is a phone that I've been using as my exclusive phone for roughly about a week, and I've posted a number of videos about this phone. But this is my full review after about a week of usage, and I'm going to say this right now that I personally feel like this has got to be the best phone for the price that you can get right now. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and you can go ahead and if you think I'm wrong, go ahead and hit that dislike button. I don't really want you to, but if you disagree with me, tell me what phone right now is better. I'm interested. I want to know what better deal is there out there on a phone, because for me, I can't really think of a phone that is a better deal out there right now than the LeEco Le Pro 3. So this phone is nearly flagship. I will say it does fall short of flagship in a few areas, so we'll talk about those as we get on with the review. So let's go ahead and talk about some important areas that might be things that are important to you in terms of buying a phone. So let's take a look at the specs. So I know these aren't really necessarily important to everyone, but I want to talk about it. So first of all, it is a 5.5-inch full HD display. That's 403 ppi, so you don't have the 2K display, but I mean, honestly, for me, that's not really an important thing. We do have the newest Snapdragon 821 processor. It comes with 4 gigs of RAM, so it doesn't have 6 gigs of RAM, which some phones do. The OnePlus 3T just came out with 6 gigs of RAM. Actually, the OnePlus 3 also had 6 gigs of RAM. So it does have 64 gigs of onboard storage, so maybe one weakness would be that some of the newer flagships also allow you to include a micro SD in there as well, where this one doesn't. So there's no micro SD. You only get the 64 gigs that come on the phone. So that would be maybe another weakness. It does have a 16 megapixel rear camera with autofocus. There is no OIS or EIS, so no optic image stabilization with this phone. So if you're taking video, you can take a look at some of my camera examples or samples. The video quality isn't bad, but you definitely do not have the stability with this phone. 8 megapixel front facing camera, which I think does a pretty darn good job. It does have NFC, nice size battery, 4070 milliamp hour batteries. It does have LTE coverage in the United States, so I currently use Cricket Wireless, and it works perfectly with Cricket Wireless, and it does have 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands for wireless, Bluetooth 4.2, GPS, blah, blah, blah. It has everything that you need. So let's talk about some of the things it comes with. So this is the box it comes with. That's where the phone would have been. And in the package here, you get some screen protectors, SIM ejection tool here, and also the case that I have on it right now is what you get in there. You do have the Type-C earphones, which honestly I have not used. So it does come with the headphones with the Type-C adapter here. So this is just traditional headphones, but you can use the Type-C adapter in order to listen to it, because there is no headphone jack on this phone. So maybe that's a negative for some people, but whatever. It does come with a Qualcomm 3.0 fast charger, which is very fast, and it is the actual Qualcomm 3.0 fast charger and a Type-C cord. So nice thick Type-C cord. Probably won't need another one, because that one probably won't break, because it is not a cheap one. So let's talk about the phone itself now. So the build quality of the phone is absolutely fantastic. This is not one of those cheap metal builds. It is absolutely flagship quality in terms of the build there. One nice thing I like about it here is that we do have light up software keys down here. So these are software keys, and you don't get the hardware keys. You do not get software keys on the screen. So that is one thing that maybe would be a downfall for some people, but some people like the fact that we have those screens, the hardware keys on there. So for me, I don't personally like, this is the same setup as Samsung. You have the back button, the home button here, and then we have our recent apps button here, which is kind of interesting with this phone because if you notice, here are my recent apps, but then up here I have my shortcut keys. That is one thing that maybe is a negative. It takes a little while to get used to for me. It took a while to get used to the fact that that's where all my software keys end up, or my quick settings. Sorry, I shouldn't call them software. And then you can see, you can scroll through them. I have all of my major things always turned on, so I have my location always turned on. I typically have my Wi-Fi turned on. I'm not sure why I don't have it on right now, but GPS is always on, Bluetooth is always on, NFC is always on. So I'm a pretty heavy user when it comes to phones. In terms of the actual build, definitely a high quality phone. So 16 megapixel camera, we got our dual flash on the back, our fingerprint sensor, which works very well. I would say that it's not the best fingerprint sensor I've ever used. It's not the fastest necessarily, but it works about 95% of the time. So about as much as you would need it to. It does, interestingly, have an IR blaster, which a lot of phones have gotten rid of, and that's just a little microphone there. And then on the bottom, we have our speaker, our bottom firing speaker, and, oh, I have it backwards. So speaker and microphone, and then our Type-C charging port there. And up here we have another speaker, which is cool. So it is dual speakers. We have a bottom firing speaker and a front firing speaker, which I really like the sound quality. It's definitely not on par with the Axon 7, which I would say has the best speakers that you can get on a phone, but definitely good speakers. They're very, very pleasant, I would say. And maybe we'll take a listen to those. Actually, I have another video where if you're interested in the speaker quality, you can take a listen to another video that I posted. But then we have our 8 megapixel camera again, and that is a very good camera in my opinion. And again, those are in the review that I posted previously. So you can see on here that right now I do not have the stock launcher that it comes with. I put on Nova Launcher because I'm going to be honest with you, the software for this phone is kind of annoying to me. And so I can go into the settings here, and we'll take a look at some of the settings, but there really isn't a whole lot of extra on here in terms of extra shortcuts and things like that. But in general, I would say the settings are pretty standard, and we do have some app settings that you can run through here as well. But for the most part, the settings are pretty standard. But the thing that bugs me a little bit about the software is that all the extra LeEco stuff that they put on here. So not all of it. So like the LE here, there is a live option, which is kind of cool. But there's a ton of movies you can look at through here. So LeEco is known as I would say an entertainment company, and so because of that, they have a lot of their live stuff normally on here, where, you know, of course you don't see that on here because I'm using Nova Launcher. Just for me, I need a more stock feel, and so it gives me that with the Nova Launcher. Now you could also put on like a Nexus launcher, so I've seen other people put on Nexus launcher, and I think that's fantastic as well. So the software for me it's not buggy, but it's just a little too much for me. I like a more stock feel, so that's why I have Nova Launcher on mine. So software would be probably one issue. And if you notice here, we have our notification shade, and we can clear them. Oops, try to pull that down again. All right, I keep hitting the home button when I do that. So we have management of our notifications, and then we also can just clear those out as well. But one thing I will say about that, again, is that you'd notice that we don't have any of the normal shortcuts. And I keep hitting the home button every time I do that. But we don't have any of the normal shortcuts that you would get on most Android phones. So again, in order to get those, we have to hit the recent apps button, and then we get our shortcuts for Wi-Fi and things like that. So we can turn our flashlight. We can do a shortcut to the camera, which, you know, really is kind of pointless in my opinion. But it's there. So that's how you get to those shortcuts there. So let's talk about, we've already talked about the specs, we've already talked about the software, let's talk about the battery. So the battery on here is again, 4070 milliamp hour battery, and the battery life that I'm getting out of this phone, so I'll show you real quick. So I've been using this off of the charger for a while, and it's actually exactly at 50%. So I want to go into the battery settings real quick. Whoops. That's the speed test. Let's go into the battery settings here, and battery. Okay, so I've been averaging right around 4 hours of screen on time, which for me is pretty good compared to, whoops, autofocus there. Let's see if I can get that in focus. Okay, not gonna happen apparently. There we go. All right, so now we're back in focus. All right, so here we go. So screen on time there is, you can't see that, but it's 2 hours and 6 minutes. And that's screen on time, and I'm currently at 49%. So like I said, if we were to kind of average that out, we would end up at right around 4 hours of screen on time, which is pretty much standard for every time I've been using this phone. I'm usually getting right around 4 hours of screen on time. And I'm going to go ahead and just real quick play a song just so you guys can get another listen to the speakers, because I think they're absolutely fantastic. Again, not on par with the Axon 7, but still very good speakers. So let's go ahead and turn that on. And we have our bottom firing, and then the front firing up here. Okay, so the speakers are maybe just slightly tinny, but for me, they're not bad in terms of the sound quality. Not too bad, again, for a phone. Again, not Axon 7 quality, but still very good speakers. We've talked a little bit about the cameras. Again, you can take a look at the video review I did of the cameras. We have the 16 megapixel on the back and the 8 megapixel on the front. Not flagship quality, so certainly not anything like what you would get on like an iPhone 7 Plus or LG V20 or even the Google Pixel phones, but still very decent camera. In good lighting, you're going to get excellent pictures. In not as good lighting, you're still going to get decent pictures, but certainly not the best. So I'll just go through like a few samples here of pictures that were taken. So that was just another thing that I reviewed. So that's some front-facing camera pictures there. But anyways, you can watch my video review of the camera. But not a bad camera, but again, no OIS, which is kind of a big issue, because if you watch the videos that I did, you can see a ton of shaking in the video. So you want to have a steady hand when you're using this camera. So is this phone worth $300? And I'm going to say flat out easy, yes. Buy this phone. If you're in the market for a GSM unlocked phone for $300, this is easily the phone for you. I just think this is a hands down no-brainer. Buy this phone. That's just my opinion. Obviously, you might differ. You might think there's something different that might be better out there. That's fine. Let me know, because I'm interested what that phone might be. But for me, for $300, I don't think there's really a better phone you can get out there. Are there better phones at $400 plus? Yeah, absolutely. But for $300, I think this is the best phone you can get out there right now. It's not perfect. The software is a little bit buggy. The cameras aren't perfect. Sorry, the software is not buggy. It's just heavy, and I don't really like that. And the cameras aren't perfect. They don't take great low light pictures, but what, $300 phone is really going to give you great pictures. I don't know of any in low light. So anyways, that has been my video review of this phone. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comment. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.